Hey there, everyone. Michael Dickey here. I am co-founder of the Financial Coach Academy, along with my wife, 𝗘𝗠𝗜𝗄, and I am also a business consultant to financial coaches, especially those that want to take their financial coaching business to the next level and learn how to be more effective, more efficient, and find out what your true zone of genius is. Welcome to episode 2 of the Rockstar Financial Coach Interview series presented by the Financial Coach Academy. In this video series, we want to interview some of our favorite rockstar financial coaches that we've helped train over the years to get their insights and tips and let you know that wherever you are in your financial coaching journey, that you are not alone. And there have been plenty of financial coaches that have been in the same place that you are right now, whether you're just starting out or you've been a financial coach for a long time. So without further ado, I want to introduce our guest today, 𝗓𝗛𝗡𝗏 of Think Legacy Financial Coaching. Emily, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You bet. So let's just get started. Why don't you tell us about yourself, how long you've been coaching, and kind of your journey to becoming a financial coach.
Yeah, so I am 𝗓𝗛𝗡𝗏, and I've been a financial coach for 3.5 years. And this year I went full-time. So I've been full-time in my business since January of 2022. And it has been a journey, just going from can I do this to actually doing this and feeling good about, being an actual financial coach. So I actually, and I really rarely tell this part of my story, but what really inspired me to actually become a financial coach, outside of really overcoming some of my own challenges that I've had to deal with over the past couple of years. But my husband is an avid sports lover, and particularly documentaries about athletes. He loves them. Like, he just watches, and he would always come and say, hey, you need to watch this documentary, because, I've always been the person in the house, in the family, that everybody would go to about money. I need to do this. I need to figure out how to do that. So it's just kind of been innately something I've always had interest in, and always been, had a knack for doing it well. And he would always tell me, gosh, you need to help these people watching these athletes who make millions of dollars, and then they lose them, at the end of their careers or shortly after their careers end. And I know it sounds weird, but there was just something always heartbreaking about those stories. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. And when I first, the idea of financial coaching was dropped in my heart, I want to help those people. I want to help those athletes. I felt for them every time I watched one of those documentaries. And, while that's still one of my ultimate goals, I knew I had to start somewhere. And so, starting with the everyday individual, the everyday woman, the everyday person who's dealing with the exact same things, just a different amount of money, but the exact same, things that they're trying to overcome. But that's really what inspired me to even pursue, becoming a financial coach. Now, I've spent 20 years in personal or corporate finance. I have a background in accounting, and that's what the first decade of my career was, in corporate accounting. And so I've done lots of things in corporate finance, but nothing has been as fulfilling as, personal finance, coaching people on personal finance. So
I love that. That's perfect. I think the one documentary, I like sports documentaries too, so I think I want to hang out with your husband. But I know Andre Rison, was that one of them does that sound familiar?
Yeah, we've watched that. I don't know if you remember the 30 for 30 series. I think it was one of those that really got me into it. But there's the stories are never ending. And so anytime I see them in the news, or like I said, one of those documentaries come out, I'm all ears. I'm watching, I'm listening, and my heart is breaking.
Yeah.
Or, I know that sounds weird, because they earned a lot of money and then put themselves in the position, but it all goes back to, no matter how much you earn, who you are. If you don't have the knowledge, you can easily end up in that position. And so,
Yeah, it translates. And like you said, it's that they got money thrown in their lap, but growing up, a lot of those athletes were raised and not not educated or didn't know, or
Exactly.
just the situation that where they were in, they were throwing a lot of money and didn't know, and also people come and take advantage of them, right? And
Exactly.
which is unfortunate, and sometimes it's their friends and their managers and anybody that feels like they're or they feel like they're helping them, and it's the same as it's not exactly the same situation as everyday people, like you said, but people that just don't have the education or the knowledge, or thrown in situations where they're actually making money, but they don't
Yeah.
have the background. So it absolutely translates. Absolutely. So now tell me, so I have 3.5 years and almost a full year of full time. So that's awesome. Congratulations. But
Thank
tell me
you.
about kind of who you've uncovered as being your ideal client and what your niche is.
Uncovered is such an appropriate word because I feel like that has been one of the greatest parts of this journey, is discovering, like, who is it that I can serve well? And I feel like that's even changed even in this last 8 months that I have been full time. And it's been exactly as you said. I've uncovered that, the person who I can serve well is that mid-career woman who's been in corporate America. She's a great earner, but she's not a great manager. And when you get to mid-career and you have this epiphany that you haven't done all of the things that you should have done. Maybe you're in a position where you got kids that are going to college and you can't provide the financial support. Maybe you realize, and wait, I'm closer to retirement than I was a decade ago, and I didn't do what I was supposed to do. But they easily get down on themselves about what they didn't do. They easily get caught up in this, it's too late for me. And so that's who I have found. First of all, they find me. They are in position of, being in corporate. They're good at their corporate jobs. They're well-paid women in their position to earn more, but they want to be able to make that more work better for them now that they have that awareness. And they're ready to face that fear that maybe they've had around money. And they want to just be better with the money that they are earning. And so that's who I serve. She has a lot of emotional, I guess, hangups that she needs to get over in order to really, really make the moves that she knows that she needs to make. And, getting herself in an environment with a financial coach is really game changing for her.
I love that. So, I like you said, you've uncovered your ideal client and your niche, and it's been an evolution, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It does sound like, would you agree that, like, currently your ideal client is pretty much you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is very much me. I'm, of course, a few steps ahead of her now, but I understand her plight. I understand where she's at, what she's thinking, and why she's thinking it. But I want her to know that there's hope, that there's time. And I want her to feel as optimistic as I feel about my future.
Definitely. Now let's go back to kind of like 3.5 years ago or so when you started. And who did you think, if even you thought about it, who your ideal client was back then? Who were you trying to help way back then? And what led to that evolution to be finally figuring out that you are your ideal client?
I think I didn't necessarily have a person. It was just, I can help you with money. Who is you? Anybody that needs help with money. I never really felt like I had a very clear person. I felt like it was very generic with who I would help, and even with the help that I provide. One thing that I've also been able to kind of narrow down is I want to help women stop overspending and incurring unnecessary debt. Those are the things that I know that I can help them solve. And you know what? Solving those will solve for 70% of the money problems that we have if you get the spending under control. And that was just recently uncovered this year. And the way that I was able to be able to do that is I really looked at the people who have decided to partner with me, and those became the common threads. They are corporate women. They are mid-career. They are, have this realization that, hey, I got to do something, and I got to do something now. And they all struggle with overspending. They all, have a lot of credit card debt that they have a lot of shame around. It was just really taking time to look at the people who I serve and tease out those commonalities and say, hey, just lean into that. You don't have to have this grand, idea who you think you want to serve. Who's paid you to serve them? Lean into that right now. So that's where I am right now. Of course, that could evolve. But when I looked at the people that I've been able to serve over the last, I'd say almost 2 years, that's who it was.
And when you transitioned into figuring that out, that those were your people, how did that make everything? Did that make everything easier? Did you find that you could help solve their problems better rather than the kind of, like you said, that general population that you think you could help everyone? What's the difference between kind of the clients that you saw and the outcomes that you got with working with everybody, compared to working with your ideal client?
Yeah, I think it became easier to kind of talk to them in my marketing. It became easier and this is something else that I've just figured out in this year. And so this year has been revolutionary for me, as far as how I'm, helping people and in my business. But I had built a program that I thought I would be helping people with. But what I've even discovered this year, while my program had 10 steps and, it's step 1 through 10, but I found that the women that I'm serving, the steps 1 through 3 is all they need right now. That's all we can get through in the program. And I started to realize that, okay, we're only getting through steps 1 through 3 in this time frame. And this is the 1 or 2 problems that we're able to solve. So you know what? I'm going to lean in again to that. So while I had built this program that I had probably taken one person through before this year, and then I got like 8 people to go through it, I got all kind of other information. So sometimes you realize you just don't have enough information. And that's what I realized this year, that I really hadn't served enough people. I hadn't really, saw enough. And I know that's not a lot, but it's given me more information that allows me to be more focused in my marketing and more focused in how I serve people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I'm hearing is that you can, we see this a lot with, with our students in the Financial Coach Academy, is that they're so concerned about building out their program from start to finish first, and it has to be perfect, right? But like you said, like that's an amazing program, but you start to get clients in that program and you're like, oh, I have to evolve this a little bit because this isn't exactly appropriate yet. So do you find that, like, what was that, if this is kind of a difficult question, I think, but how do you find that happy medium, or how did you find that happy medium between completing that full program and understanding in the moment of the process of actually taking your clients through it, what is enough? Does that make sense?
Well, it was the experience of seeing, okay, while I had planned to do this in month 1 and to do this in month 2 and to do this in month 3, but we get to month 3, we're still in month 1, curriculum. And, I don't want people to rush through and just to get through it for my sake of saying I'm helping them. No, I really want people to get out of coaching what they need. And so it was me adjusting real time to support them in what they needed instead of me trying to rush them through my curriculum. And so it was just adapting in real time to realize this is what they need, not what I want them to do. And so that's what it became with, several of my clients, as I started to notice just how things slowed down. And, I'm like, it's okay that we slow down, because that's what they need, not what I want to do, not what I want them to accomplish. And so just having the, awareness to just kind of see that was happening, I had one client that went through, and of course she was like, went through, everything was good. I had another couple came through and it started to happen. And I was like, wait a minute. And then I started to notice with another couple that came through, like, wait a minute, And they all, you know, had those same characteristics of, you know, really great earners, but not great managers and very much down on themselves. And so there was a lot of work of just really building that mindset in order to do, you know, the things that I was telling them to do, and for them to feel confident that they were even able to do these things. So just adjusting to the need real time was what landed me here.
Absolutely. I love that. And because you know what that is that's the difference between just being a financial educator and true coaching, right?
Yes.
Is basing it on the client's needs, not your program. So that's amazing that you figured that out so fast. So that's awesome. Let's go back to when you're developing your financial coaching business, and think back. What was your first like stumbling block as you started that really held you up? Maybe you started to bottleneck, you started to question things where you're really stuck.
I was scared to show up. I was scared to just get out there and tell people this is what I did. Like for the longest, I was in my own way. I was scared to just show up. Like that's it. That was it. It was me. I was scared to show up. I was scared to market. I was scared to go live. I was scared to, you know, do social media. Just me wallowing in a lot of fear and a lot of, you know, not being confident in what I know that I can do. You know, it took me a while to just kind of overcome some of those fears myself. But that was the biggest bottleneck. It was me. It was me.
Wow. And do you think, what do you think was that mindset shift or that thing that you did that kind of got you over that hump to start to put yourself out there?
Just do it. I remember back in, let's see, maybe it was I think I took FCA in 2018. And then in the summer of 2019, I had went on a trip with some of my college girlfriends, and I had told one of my girlfriends that I was going to, you know, do this financial coaching business. I was just talking in, you know, conversation. And she said she wanted to be a client. She wanted to be a beta client. And I was like, okay, you know, I hadn't even really wanted her. I didn't ask her to do it. She decided she would do it, or asked me if she could. I was like, okay. And I remember from that moment, before I left that trip, we were in Cancun, and I had never gone live on my Facebook or anything. And I had told myself, you know what, I'm going to do this. And I remember being on the balcony in my hotel room, and I made a video that just, I mean, I was literally shaking. I was shaking and sweating. I was so scared of just going live and like putting it out there. But this was like the summer. I want to say it was July of 2019. And I made this video saying, hey guys, this is what I'm doing. And I just, after that, I said, I'm going to do it. I still stumbled. I still was like, you know, fearful, but I did that. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm moving forward. Now, mind you, I had taken FCA at this time. I had a LLC set up, but I just wasn't doing anything. But then whenever she and I started working together that September, from that September to that December, I just knew, like, I'm doing this. I'm doing this, and I'm doing it well. I'm making a difference. And that was what really helped me. And then you just keep doing, and you keep going, and you keep going, and you keep going. And you know what? Doing is the thing that's going to help you overcome. And I know that now, and it may take me a couple of days, a couple of hours to do, but I know it wholeheartedly that doing is how you overcome.
Yes, absolutely. You know, I'm going to edit that out. That is so true, that I see that across the board, is that people get so concerned about, and it's self-limiting beliefs, right? All coming from inside, because people need your help. And, you know, Betty Lewis said it the best, is that I'm holding myself up, but because I'm holding myself up, I'm holding myself, I hope these other people that need my help, that they're waiting for me to be ready.
Yes.
You know, and it's just so true. And it's just as simple as you put yourself out there. And this is not a great example, but I just saw this cute video where it was like a TikTok or something like that. And the guy said, truth or dare. And this kid in college, probably in the library, said, dare. And he says, I want you to call your crush and ask her out on a date. And you could tell how nervous this kid was.
Yeah.
He called. You could hear how excited she was over the phone.
Aww.
He asked her, and it was like, is that simple? And sometimes just doing that, just do it. And it's over, right? So it's just do it, right? And sometimes it's easier said than done because we have those limiting beliefs of ourselves. But once you do it, it's out there, and it's just, that's when the dominoes start to fall in your favor, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely love that. Now let's move forward a little bit, and I don't know when this was for you, but why don't you tell me about the first sign and maybe when this was that you're like, I can do this. I am a financial coach. Like it's starting to click, and you're starting to feel like, oh man, this is it.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew exactly when it was. It was December of 2019, because that's the first time somebody paid me their hard-earned money to be their financial coach. And I could not believe it. Now, I had also been working with, some beta clients up to that point, but that was the very first time that somebody said, you know what, I believe in you and I'm going to pay you my money to help me. And I about lost it. I mean, I remember posting in the Financial Coaches Unite group that I got my first paying client. And so it was just that vote of confidence with their dollars that really like made me feel like, okay, I can do this. And after I served her that feeling or that feedback of where have you been all my life, I was like, yes. That was like the confidence boost that I needed in that moment to really keep going and to know that, if one person will pay me, somebody else will definitely pay me.
Absolutely. And so July is when you put that out there. I'm a financial coach. I'm going to do this to December barely. So not even 6 months really.
Yeah.
And then it just started to click. So that's a good number to know, because I think a lot of people that are just starting out kind of want that feedback of like, when, how long does it really take? And so it's never immediate, right? It's never, which is kind of what we all look for. It's like, I got to put this out once and then everybody has to come to me.
Yeah. And let me just give you another point of reference. I started or formed my LLC in December of 18. So it was actually a whole year before I actually got someone to pay me. I think I did FCA in the spring of 2018. So, I had training, I had, support. I was in the group, I was doing the things, but I was still having to overcome, my own fears, my own imposter syndrome to get to that point. And, it took time.
Yeah. Can you think back, and was there ever a time where you thought you wanted to quit?
I don't think I ever wanted to quit, but I definitely slowed down some because I had a full-time job. And actually, whenever I did FCA, my youngest was 10 months old. So I was nursing, I was holding a baby during, so it was like, I slowed down, but I never thought that I wanted to quit. But I slowed down. I've hired coaches along the way that have kind of gave me a little momentum here and there. And I've gotten smarter on how to hire coaches. I've gotten smarter on how to run a business. And so while I feel more confident because I got, knowledge and I have experience. And even though I've been slow along the way, but I never felt like I wanted to quit. I haven't had those moments just yet, but I have slowed down along the way and just kind of, as life was happening, maybe the coaching got put aside or wasn't doing as much but I don't think I ever felt like I wanted to quit.
That's great. And life gets in the way a lot of times, especially when I mean, you had a full-time job, right? And
Yeah.
then so you're building this on the back end, and that's something that, hey, I can put this on pause or slow it down a little bit because of course you got a baby, and that's a lot, and other kids too. So that's
Yeah.
definitely a lot. But it's amazing testament to you that you just kind of kept plugging along at your own speed. And I think we all want it to go faster than what we want, but as long as you're doing it your way,
Yeah.
then you're going to be successful.
Yeah. Agree.
So let's go back to, I guess, before early 2018. What made you want to invest in the Financial Coach Academy?
So, okay, so in 2017 is when I had my last child, and I went back to my job for my maternity leave. And I had a lot of unsatisfaction in my job at that time. And I actually was like, I should have paused and really reflected on what I wanted to do at that moment, but I didn't. And I went to a new job. And I remember going to that new job, and I remember going on a business trip. And one of my favorite TED Talks is a talk by Scott Dinsmore. And it talks about doing what you really want to do, like going forward. And I remember listening to that on the way back from a business trip that I was driving for by myself. And it was just like tears were streaming down my face as I listened to this talk. And he just talked about like going for something. And I remember at that time, Googling how to become a financial coach, And of course, the Dave Ramsey thing had popped up, and I was investigating that. And I remember reading Garrett's article, his Kitty's article.
Yeah.
And so I had emailed Garrett, and I was like, hey, Garrett, this is amazing article. Thank you so much for doing this. Just out of gratitude of how much I learned from that article. He was like, oh, well, come and join my Facebook group. I was like, oh, so there's a whole group of financial coaches. And in that group is where I met 𝗘𝗠𝗜𝗄. And from 𝗘𝗘𝗜𝗄, meeting her there, she's like, hey, I got a group too. So I joined her group. And I think, like I said, at the time I was debating on doing the financial Dave Ramsey's program, but at the time he was switching over to it being a virtual kind of self-paced instead of the in-person thing. And so that's when I started to see the 𝗘𝗘𝗓 talking about FCA, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna give FCA a try. I'm gonna get, and it was live at that time, and that's what really made me like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Like, it was just kind of a combination of everything that I was feeling in life at that time, everything that that was just like, I got to do something like that soul stirring tug. It's like, this ain't it. Corporate ain't it. And I've been working for 17 years in corporate at that time. And I was like, just something else, So we're just kind of listening to what was going on in here and following. Like I said, it started with a Google search. And that article popped up, and it was like boom, 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 boom. And very shortly, I think I joined Financial Coaches Unite. I remember this in November of 2017. And then I joined the FCA group that started in January or February of that next spring.
Yeah. Here we are. Wow.
And here we are. I will be, this may be one of your questions, but I'm going to go ahead and let you know now. It has been the absolute best investment in my business. You want to know when the last time I was in FCA? Yesterday.
No way.
I still use it. Like, I love it. I still use it. And it's been so instrumental in me really redeveloping my program, to fit this new path or the new problem that I want. Not really the new problem, but being able to more refine the program. I love all the exercises in there on developing, exercises to help your team or help your clients, and just to really refine your program. It's been amazing. I love that we have lifetime access to FCA, because I know I'll be in it for a lifetime. There's literally not a month goes by that I'm not in there looking for something that right away helps me.
Oh, I'm so glad. And that's one of the things that I think we've found, and partly what we've developed in the academy, is that the first time you go through it, it's like drinking from the fire hose. It's
Yeah.
like I just want to know how to create a name for my business and maybe what the program should be like. And then
Yeah.
you go through it, and then you come back a year later and you watch it again, like, oh, I couldn't see the forest
Yes.
through the trees. And then, oh,
Yes.
I didn't even know these talk, so there's just a deeper and deeper from beginner to advanced, all in the same lesson that you miss. And so that's why we want you to have lifetime access, is because you always go back, always redeveloping, always coming up with, like you said, you didn't know what your niche was when you first started. And as you develop, you're like, well, how can I redevelop using FCA's templates and guidelines
Yep.
for this new chapter in my business?
Yep.
What do you think? What are some of your biggest takeaways from the Academy? What are the things that are like the most helpful or the biggest aha moments?
I just always love how 𝗘𝗠𝗜 talks about, leading from a place of empathy, leading from a place of curiosity, and also thinking deeper about these concepts. For example, paying off debt. Okay. I was very much one of those coaches that's like, okay, let's put it in the little calculator and spit out your plan. I love how, she helps us as coaches think deeper about solving our helping our clients solve their problems, like thinking, what is the mindset that we need to coach to before we even get into the numbers. I love that. I also love how she breaks everything down in FCA, of how to develop something, like going through the thought process and going through thinking through what it is, what the problem is, what's the mindset around it. Like, just, I love how she breaks things down in the Academy, or how you guys break things down in the Academy to help me build better. That's my biggest takeaway from the Academy, because I now take that same kind of process or thought process whenever I'm building things or I'm teaching or coaching with my clients. Like, break it down and in a very easy to consume way, and so that you're not only teaching people what to do, but you're teaching them how to think about what they're doing. And that's how you really create lifelong learning and lasting change. And so those are kind of the biggest takeaways from FCA. And another thing is, and this one has thrown me for a loop in my business, and especially this year, but I think because I've always been in corporate is standard operating procedures. What you do is what's documented and whatever, but nothing stays the same forever with your business. And, I very much came into business like, once you figure out things, this is how they're going to be. But nothing stays the same. And that, like I said, that's been a mindset shift that I've had to wrap my brain around, that what I'm doing today, I mean, in essence, won't necessarily change, but maybe the way I do it will change in the future to accommodate the need of clients. And so just understanding that nothing stays the same in business, and how you execute business.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to not just look for, as a training program, not to look for one that is going to tell you exactly how to do it as a template, but also, like you said, how to think through how it's going to, the logistics of thinking through those concepts to create it on your own, not just to have it created for you to follow. Right.
Yeah. FCA has served me well in every phase of my business, like every single phase of my business. It's like a fine wine. It ages so well.
Well, good. Thank you. Just like you and myself, right?
Exactly.
Well, let's transition. I want to hear about you, and I want you to humble brag a little bit. But what is your favorite client success story?
It's got to be the very first client that I had. Like, she literally cried in the first 4 sessions that we had. Like, it was literally me and her looking at the screen, her crying. feeling bad about herself, all of that. Like the first 4 meetings. But to see where she came from, and like to just see her now, she just recently sent me one of the sweetest messages on my birthday, which was a couple of weeks ago, and just thanked me for my obedience and me showing up the way I have shown up and how it impacted her life. Like, those are the things that really makes it worth it. Those are the feedback that lets me know I gotta keep going, that there are other people out there waiting on me, waiting on our paths to connect, so that they can have that feeling of going from desperation in their finances to going to confidence and knowing things are going to be okay. I want people to know it's going to work out. It's going to be okay. We worry so much about money, but it's going to be okay. It may be a hard place right now, but it's going to be okay. And so just seeing her go from, she told me she was Googling how to file bankruptcy when we first started working together. And she went from being able to build an emergency fund of over $20,000, of being able to, she started renting out her house and had some rental income coming in from that she was living with her mom because she wanted to move in with her mom to help her mom out. But she was able to like give her mom money that she didn't have before, when what she was doing before was calling her mom for money every month because she wasn't managing, her money in a way that was able to sustain herself. And so just seeing like how her life has literally changed because of the work that we did together, it just blows my mind. It blows my mind, and it just warms my heart, and it just really confirms that this is the work that God has called me to do. And as Betty said, I'm blocking not only my blessing, but the blessings and of other people when I get in my own way and I don't step into what he's called me to do fully. When I allow fear to keep me stagnated and allow fear to keep me quiet, I'm hurting other people. Not just my business and my career, but the lives of other people that could potentially be changed from our work together. That is what's on the line.
Yes. What a gift to be given. I mean, like being able to transform people's lives just by doing what you love, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. A couple more questions and then I'm going to let you go. But what is something that you learned from the Academy that would have taken you forever to figure out on your own?
That's an easy one. Anything with a system. I hate systems. So I really appreciate the system, tutorials and helping me get all of that stuff. Like that's worth it alone right there. But I think the second thing that's not system related, I've kind of already shared before, it's just changing how we think about things, like really diving into thinking differently is what FCA has really helped me to do. It's expand how I think about, the things that I develop, how I develop them, how do I teach it, just thinking differently about that stuff, thinking deeper about serving, how you're serving people. It's more than just a budget. It's more than just a debt payoff plan. Like really thinking deeper about those things is, two things that I've learned from FCA.
Absolutely. I love that so much. Kind of as a final question here, Emily, what advice would you give to aspiring financial coaches that might be watching right now? Like what are some tips that you think would help them the most right now?
Okay, so the main piece of advice that I would give to a new coach or an aspiring coach is to keep going. You got to keep going. I would say that put yourself in an environment where you can grow and you can learn. Don't try to do it alone. Because being alone, you're going to talk yourself out of it. You're going to talk yourself out of keep going, but keep going. Put yourself in a position to learn in environments where you can learn with other people who are doing the same thing that you want to do. And I would say, when you're choosing coaches or people that you want to learn from, be specific on the skill or the knowledge that you want to learn, and choose coaches based on that. But yeah, I think that's it. Just keep going, and you will learn. You will get there. You will get there. Keep going at your own pace. Don't allow what you see other people doing to distract you. Don't allow what you see other people achieving to, discourage you because you haven't achieved it. But just keep going. Just keep going.
Yes, I love that. And you got to do it your own way. And do it your own way, but no, I think it's important to say do it your own way, but no slower than your own way.
Exactly.
Right? Because then we're back to that when I'm limiting myself, and then I'm not able to help the people that need my help and transform their lives like you're able to do right now. Right. So
yes.
Absolutely. Well, Emily, thank you so much. This has been a joy chatting with you. I think this has been an amazing conversation and some insights for financial coaches across all aspects of wherever they are in their financial coaching business. You can learn more about Emily at 𝗓𝗏𝗡𝗢.com. I'll put that link in there. Check out the website, kind of see what her coaching business looks like. And of course, I think if you can find Emily in Financial Coaches Unite, and if you want to ask her some questions, I'm sure she'd be happy to answer any questions that you have about her business journey.
Absolutely. And send me a DM, tag me in a post. I love to meet with the other coaches. And, if you ever have questions, I am always open to meet with, several of the coaches I've done that with. It's been a great group. I love that, you all have just a great vibe in the group for us to, connect and grow with each other. And I've gotten lots of new friends, from Financial Coaches Unite. So love being there. Love the great job that you guys do in bringing us together and teaching us and helping us grow as coaches.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Well, that's the Rockstar Financial Coach Interview, episode number 2. We will see you next time.